The movie begins with a king and his army entering a cave as they pursue a dragon. As you make your way to the cave, the king has his eye on something, whereby the dragon uses fire to attack them and eliminates each of the king's warriors individually. The monarch was forced to ask the dragon for his life. This is where the scene stops, and centuries later, we are shown another realm. The people in this destitute kingdom are starving to death. Additionally, Elodie, the film's protagonist, is the kingdom's princess. A prince from an enormous realm has proposed to her, who her father was overjoyed to have because he believes that his kingdom's circumstances will alter if Elodie and him are reunited. Even though Elodie didn't want to get married, she accepted to alter her kingdom's circumstances. And these individuals depart for another kingdom while she is married. They noticed some dragons in this sea storm as they got closer to the island. In any case, these folks arrive at the palace. Elodie was quite fond of this palace, greater than her palace by a great measure. They were greeted by a royal servant upon arriving at the palace, and they were escorted to their chambers for relaxation. When she was gazing outside from this balcony at night, the fire in the far-off mountains was then visible to her. In any case, the queen informs Elodie's father in the morning that she approves of their relationship and that they will be married the following day. I would like to briefly discuss this with you. Elodie and the prince then go have a conversation. Elodie queries the prince, asking if you are pressuring him into this marriage. Prince replies, "No, not at all. I thought you were really lovely." As they converse, they come to a hill, and Elodie informs the prince that she spotted fire in the mountains across the way yesterday. Yes, the prince agrees. Those mountains are crucial. We will go there on the day of the wedding to perform certain ancient rites that will take place in a cave inside. Elodie's father was clearly disturbed since he had met the queen, as evidenced by the incident that follows. Elodie's mother approaches him to ask about his concerns, but when he remains silent, she chooses to speak with the queen. However, the queen is quite arrogant. She doesn't mention that she is from a little kingdom to Elodie's mother. She approaches her two daughters and confides in them, saying, "I think bad is going to happen." Elodie's father, who pulled her mother away from there while speaking with her, also appears here throughout the session. He obviously wanted to conceal something as well. The prince and Elodie's marriage are seen in the following scene. Elodie and the prince were headed to those mountains, where a few days ago she witnessed flames. Elodie was already informed by the prince that certain customs would be followed. They arrive at a cavern deep within the peak, where the kingdom's populace was already waiting for them. Elodie is informed by the queen that a dragon resides in this cave, which a century before had wreaked havoc on our kingdom, and our king then made the decision one day to exact revenge on her. To fight her, he came to this cave. However, the dragon posed a serious threat. He could never be defeated. Not even our monarch could overcome her. Our king had struck a bargain with her to spare his life, but he will give this dragon his 3 daughters. This dragon never again assaulted our kingdom after that. We have continued this process up until this point. The queen linked Prince and Elodie's hands after cutting both of them, and informs them that you have now merged into one person. Elodie is held in Prince's arms. Elodie felt ashamed, but she was also overjoyed because she was unaware of what would occur to her in a moment. Elodie was snatched up by Prince and dumped in a pit. The moment Elodie collapsed, she passed out. She screams for assistance as she comes to, and with this, the dozing dragon stirs and speaks again. Elodie makes the decision to climb up when no one comes to aid her. Her position was, however, precarious. She kept tripping and falling. It's evident that a lot of females' belongings were left laying around. Elodie saw fire in the air abruptly. She notices right once that some flying insects have been burnt to death. It was the dragon's flames. Upon seeing the dragon, Elodie was frightened. The dragon then asks, "What is your name?" to her. The dragon tells Elodie that she has come here as part of an agreement after giving her the name. "I will kill you today in retaliation because you give off the scent of royal blood." Elodie leaves before anything terrible occurs to her. When the dragon notices that she is fleeing, it attacks her with fire. As Elodie fled, she stumbled onto a little cave. She was unable to totally avoid the dragon's fire though. Her foot was scorched severely. She rips off her garments and bandages her foot wound. Elodie was unable to quit. This had to be her escape route. No matter what, she stands up and begins to look around. She notices a blue light en route. When she approaches the light, continuing to follow it, she discovers that it's sprung from a tree. Elodie was drawn to the tree because of its large pit in the center. The pit was ahead because there was a dragon behind her. Somewhere had to be her death. She makes the decision to jump from this point, but one mistake puts her life in jeopardy. She was going to tumble into the abyss, but she was able to save herself and escape by using the knife she was holding. The tiny luminous insects on the tree were the source of the blue light emanating from it. Elodie rips off her dress and prepares a pot. She rips out several of the insects inside so they serve as a lamp for her as she moves on. Elodie also encountered a tiny waterfall a short distance away. As Elodie opens her mouth to take a drink of water, the dragon appears and launches a fire assault on her. Once more, Elodie flees for her life. Elodie is informed by the dragon that she went into hiding in a tiny cave once more. To what extent will you run away from me? You will visit me one day. Numerous females' names were written in this tiny cave, which Elodie realizes must have meant a lot of girls sacrificed here. She was overtired with these activities. She drifts off to sleep, and when she wakes up, her wound is covered in all the insects she had collected in her clothing. Elodie becomes extremely alarmed at seeing them, and while picking up the insects with her wound, she discovers that it has fully healed. These were very useful insects. She follows them nonetheless, and they show her a chart of how to get out of this place on a little stone. She wanted to follow it to get away from here, but the road was paved with jagged stones. She was not a very big coward, but she would have perished if these stones had struck her. She struggles up, not caring that she is in pain, and eventually she manages to escape, but there's a lot of danger here. From the top of the mountain, there is no way down. She started crying now. She wanted to yell at someone, but from that height, no one could hear her. A dragon appears in front of her as she hears the sound of some horses galloping by. Prior to the dragon attacking her once more, when Elodie enters the cave, the dragon informs her that nobody has ever been able to leave this location. No matter how hard they try, I'll get you. He was merely stating that Elodie hears her father's voice from the cave below. All of a sudden, Elodie also descends to see her father. Along the road, she also spots 3 cracked dragon eggs and a ton of cash. Upon examining these items, she realized that the narrative the queen had imparted to her was not entirely accurate, that their kin had been slaughtered by the dragon. In fact, the king discovered that there are 3 dragon eggs in this cave many years ago, and that 3 dragons are hatching from them. These 3 dragons' offspring were slain by the king, and the dragon is still exacting retribution on them. The scene reappears in the here and now, where the father of Elodie was yelling at his daughter. The dragon then appears in front of him. I have come to take my daughter back. He declares to the dragon, I'm willing to battle you for this, even if it means having to. Then call your daughter here. The dragon says to him. Elodie's father yells, don't come here, Elodie, wherever you are. Upon hearing this, the dragon becomes enraged and pierces Elodie's father's chest with one of her nails. Elodie screamed as she saw her father dying in front of her eyes, diverting the dragon's attention. In her search for Elodie, she crosses over to the other side, and Elodie promptly approaches her father. He was telling Elodie, you have to live, even though I am dying as a result of my sins. Go, your sister and mother are on our ship waiting for you. He passes away right after saying this, and Elodie continues to move forward. Elodie was climbing using the chain that brought them here, and the dragon had noticed her as well. She was furious as well, claiming that Elodie was the reason behind everything and that she would take care of it all. Elodie's sister was viewing the fire in the mountains when the queen unexpectedly entered the ship and took her hostage, because it was her intention to deliver Elodie's sister to the dragon. From there, Elodie's mother is gone and stabbed her in an attempt to save her daughter. Elodie arrived at her ship the following day as well, and there she met her wounded mother, who assured her that she was all right. I'll look after myself. Find your sister, for it is she who will be offered as a sacrifice to the dragon rather than you. Here, Elodie informs her mother that our father has also passed away. She goes straight to the cave after telling this, since she knows the queen would have brought her sister there, where Elodie's sister's hand gets sliced by the queen and mixed with her own blood before being thrown into the pit below, where Elodie's sister is captured by the dragon. By now, Elodie had also arrived at the cave, but no one was aware of her presence because she was getting ready before going to the dragon. She starts off by carrying a large number of shiny insects and her father's sword, which she may have used to battle the dragon in the cave. The scenario demonstrates that Elodie's sister has not yet been slain by the dragon. She was telling Elodie's sister, while seated with her deceased children, that your elders killed my children. I will now murder their daughter Elodie and cause them to become restless in the same manner. Here, Elodie makes some noise within the cave to divert the dragon's attention. Elodie approaches her sister just as the dragon turns to look for her. The dragon returns here before Elodie takes her sister away after saving her. Elodie informs the dragon dragon that there was deception. While they killed your children, we were led to believe that you had attacked their kingdom. Whatever it is, the dragon declares, I will exact their retribution from you if they are your elders. No, we are not their offspring. Elodie responds. The dragon uses her fire to strike Elodie before she can tell it anything more. Elodie spins around to save herself, but she tumbles into the sea. Now she was really hurting. Once more, the dragon snatches her, cutting her with her nail. And this time, Elodie used her blade to target her eye in an attempt to spare herself a significant loss. This attack infuriated the dragon. She flings Elodie aside and assaults her with her fire, but as she hits those stones, the dragon's fire begins to burn her. After burning, the dragon was in great pain. Elodie now instructs her to examine the cut on my hand. Likewise, by chopping and blending their blood with ours, we created royal blood, which we then gave to you. We are not their offspring. Within their home, they are living in harmony and giving up helpless girls like us. And you didn't help them in any way. You are killing someone else's children, just as they killed yours. The dragon sinks to a deep sadness at discovering the truth and informs Elodie of this. My death ought to be my penalty. Kill me then. However, Elodie spares her life. She also applies the little insects she had gathered to the dragon to treat its wounds. She came to get retribution on the genuine traitors, that is, to the prince and queen of that realm who had pitched her in front of the dragon in the cave by offering her a bridal enticement. Here, the prince was getting ready to use her as a wedding lure in order to sacrifice another female much like her in front of the dragon. Elodie gives her the real scoop and requests that she flee from there. Elodie then tells everyone to save their lives and to proceed from there. The queen declares, what say you, oh girl, if you made it through the dragon, are you still capable of frightening us? What damage are you going to cause to us alone? It's okay, Elodie says to herself. The dragon that soars through the skies approaches this palace. As soon as she says this, the entire palace containing the royal family had also been destroyed by the dragon. Now her vengeance was properly avenged. Following that, we see in the story's final scene that Elodie, her sister, and her mom are present in this realm. They are getting ready to go back to their realm, and they depart for their land. The dragon, Elodie's dragon, was accompanying them, and showing this story ends here.